This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Welcome to another episode here on Red Side of the Trent. Hope you're all doing well as the sun is beaming in another normal kind of week for Nottingham Forest. I'm delighted to be joined by Lee Clark-Rees, Lane and Christian Brown. Christian, how are you first of all?
Yeah, well, thank you. All good. Yourself?
Good. Yeah, not too bad. Rees, you well?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, very good. I know you're going to be very hard at work soon with this new intro. You have to get rid of half the bleeding team, unfortunately. And Lee, last of all, how have you been? I know you've been running the line. Pre-season's heavy underway for yourself.
Yeah, sore feet. But as we discussed before we came on here, losing plenty of body fat, hopefully, and burning calories, that sort of stuff. So yeah, good to have a bit of football back. But as I'm sure we'll discuss, maybe not relishing the Forest campaign at this moment in time.
Yeah, and then putting it back on with ice cream and nectar. So,
Yes. Here
we go. But we're going to start off with a few things. We've got quite a few things to talk about. I think we gradually build up to the crazy, to be honest. So we're going to start with the Chesterfield game yesterday, pre-season game, first one that we had of the season. Me and Christian were in attendance. Rees and Lee opted out, which I think was quite right, given the scoreline was 0-0. Christian, first of all, what did you make of it? Obviously, pre-season's one of them. You kind of take it or leave it or whatever. Take it away.
Yeah, I always find it fun. I've always said before many, many times in this podcast as well, people get very irate about pre-season for no real reason because the results are completely meaningless. I mean, again, I refer back to the pre-season we had with Chris Hughton, where I think we won 3 and drew 1, and then obviously didn't win any of our first 7 league games. So there's very rarely a correlation between the two. Obviously, it does help if you have a good pre-season in general, as we saw this season when the players run early and you can sort of bed them in with the tactics or whatever else. But really, the only pre-season game that has any meaning is the last one, because that's generally the squad that's going to play, and they'll play at about 80% intensity as well. So this is all just fitness exercises, the proverbial term minutes in legs, and a chance to experiment. I mean, as we saw yesterday, the first half was 4-3-3, second half was 3-4-3. So it gives him a chance to sort of try out some new ideas and sort of get his plans across. But yeah, it was okay yesterday. I mean, obviously Chesterfield were 2 weeks ahead of us in their pre-season schedule. I thought some of the fringe players gave a good account for themselves. Like Miguel, for example, thought looked pretty steady in goal, made a few good saves. Morasso looked good when he came on, for example. And obviously some of the fringe players didn't do themselves many favours at all. I mean, Stamanic looks like a Make-A-Wish winner already, and Jota was awful. So, but again, it was very early days in pre-season, so you can't really read too much into it. But it was a fun day all the same. It's the ground ticked off for me. So for us, what pre-season's about, really, just ground hopping and sort of seeing your mates in the sun and whatever else. So, yeah.
Obviously difficult for Lee and Rees to come in on this, but was there anyone that you kind of looked at from even from like a B team perspective where you think they do quite well out on loan? I know we spoke actually in our WhatsApp group about Joe Garner doing pretty well for Lincoln last season. He came on yesterday, looked a bit of a pest. Actually, was quite decent. Maybe I think Lee mentioned actually he's going on loan to Mansfield. I actually think I've called him Joe Gardner and his name's not Joe Gardner. I've completely forgot what his first name is, to be honest. Christian?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going in for Leo Rees.
No, because you were at the game. None of them can bleed and talk about the game, can they? What do you make of the B team guys? Come on.
Yeah, I thought obviously Sinclair was the one that stood out for me on the right as a sort of right wing back. He looked really, really good. He was always playing on the front foot. Every action he took was always forward thinking, which was really nice. If it wasn't on, he'd recycle the ball well. But Abbott looked quite composed on the ball. You can tell the year he's had training with Murilo Milenkovic has helped his game, because he just looked so, even when players were running at him, he didn't seem phased whatsoever, just very calmly found feet, which is good to see. Like I said, Gardner pressed very well up front. The rest of them, it's difficult to say, because they were competitive against obviously grown men in Chesterfield's team. They dug in, they were quick, they were like sharp in attack and whatever else, but none of them really stood out in the same way that Sinclair did. Personally, that's not to say that they're bad players, of course, because then Hartley wouldn't be surprised if they weren't. But just where our bar is so high, being a Premier League club, obviously in Europe, Sinclair was the only one you thought might make the bench from what we saw with regularity. Same with Abbott, really. Hence why the others being linked with we'll probably end up in League One, League Two sort of thing. But we'll soon see. It was. I think it was a really good test for them as well. But they did themselves no harm whatsoever in how they performed. But the ones for me were Sinclair, Abbott, and Gardner.
It is Joe Gardner, by the way, Adam. You was right. It's just because you've got Joe Gardner in your mind, isn't it?
I got Joe Gardner in my mind. I know, Lee, you said you've got a bit of insight. Maybe Gardner's going to go to Mansfield. I mean, he did look quite a handy player, to be fair. It looks like someone who can be quite versatile for their front line.
Yeah, I think I know a Lincoln fan as well, and he said he didn't really do much of any note for them to sort of take him back. But I think he was often coming off the bench for them. I think if I quite like this whole idea of us using Mansfield as a bit of a feeder team, to be honest, because not just with the Clough ties, but I think you get two different sort of situations with loans. I think some players actually relish moving away, like Joe Worrell did when he went to Dagenham. He mentioned that it was quite good for him to get out of Nottingham and stand on his own 2 feet a little bit. But you get others who are quite happy staying at, being able to commute every day to training and that sort of stuff. So I actually think it's quite, especially now Mansfield are in League One, it just seems like a really easy relationship to strike up. So yeah, hopefully Clough will give him sort of more chances to play from the off. It'd be nice to see Clough lower his average age of his squad at Mansfield from what their fans are saying. So yeah, it seems like a match made in heaven, really, that one.
It's a shame that Alan Hardy broke the ties with Notts, because that'd have been ideal. I guess now with us playing Chesterfield the last 2 seasons, there's a bit of a tie there. So if obviously the club might not think they're ready for League One loan, then Chesterfield League Two. Paul Cook's still their manager, is he? I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm sure he'll put them through the paces if anything comes of a move to them, because still pretty local into Chesterfield.
Yeah, definitely early up the road, only a couple of junctions from myself. I mean, Jimmy Sinclair's only 18, so I couldn't, unless there's some sort of emergency crisis at Forest. I'm not sure if he'll be quite the one to be as a fullback.
Or if we keep selling forwards, maybe. I mean,
yeah. And obviously Eric Marrero didn't feature. I thought it would be maybe he's injured or whatever. But Sinclair, I know Reece is coming on the pod before. His brother-in-law's a Chesterfield fan. And they said the right back they brought on is a Make-A-Wish kind of lad. He's full Gibraltar international, but he's terrible. So if they're looking for a right back, and Sinclair's one of those sort of lads who maybe impressed them yesterday, could be a decent move for him to go there if he's ready. I don't know. He's looked quite lightweight, bless him. But yeah, didn't give himself a bad account at all. But moving swiftly on, because as the Chesterfield game did happen, we also got a lovely look at the new kit, guys. So I'll just move us and now bring us across. And Callum Hudson-Odoi looks bloody lovely in it, if I do say so myself. Thoughts on this one, Reece, as the kit connoisseur of the group? I know Christian is obviously a collector as well, but let's face it, you are our number one man.
I love it, mate. Personally, I really do. I think most people I've seen seem to like it. There's obviously fans who don't like it because, it does. It is the same as a 92, 93 home in terms of its design, in which we went down in. But, I'll caveat that we actually did get promoted straight back. And we also did have a pinstripe when, we stayed up against Ipswich with Jordan Smith and Hassan Belong and Chris Curran and Jamie Ward and all that. So It depends how superstitious you are, isn't it, really? But I really like it, mate. I think it's something different. I guess now from an image perspective, really, is if kind of depends what sponsor we get, didn't we? I seen, and I put this on like as social media, and some viewers might have seen it, but a lad on my Instagram who does football restorations, he actually put Labatt's on it, and it looked immaculate. I thought Shipston's would be the same. I know we're not going to get them sponsors because they probably can't afford sponsors nowadays, but yeah, I think the sponsor will be key to kind of making or breaking it. But as it stands, I do really like it personally. I think it's something different, and at least it isn't kind of generic Adidas template, what we probably had the first season we come back with Adidas, wasn't it? And the away kits that season were a bit meh as well. So, yeah, I like it personally.
Yeah, definitely. Lee, thoughts on it as well? I mean, Callum Hudson-Odoi rocking the Cantona look with the collar up as well.
Yeah, I quite like the collar. The 92-93 shirt's my favourite of all time. So, yeah, naturally I like it. I do have one slight gripe with it. I don't like the shield that the badge is in. I think that needs to grow on me. I'd have preferred just the badge as it normally is on the shirt. But, yeah, I'm sure it's only very minor. It's not going to stop me buying it. I think with the collar as well, it's probably the best shirt we've had for many years, I think, personally.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I'm not sure about Callum Hudson-Odoi's haircut. I'm not sure about that. But, yeah, let's stick to the
Cisco look.
Yeah.
About half the squad's got this look as well. Like I think Morato, Carmo had it and all. So there must be a trend, to say the least. Last of all, Christian, what's your thoughts? I mean, anything you would change, or is it a hit for you?
Yeah, big hit for me. Yeah, really like it. I think it looks really smart. The socks have got quite a cool sort of white pattern on the back as well, which I'm sure you'll see closer to the thing. Yeah, I agree with what's been said. It's a really immaculate kit. Unfortunately, though, it looks like the last time we had a pinstripe kit in the Premier League and we started selling our best players, it's going to be history repeating itself. But hopefully, that's the end. The outcome isn't the exact same.
Yeah, hopefully not. And I know if the rumours are to be true with the away kit, we're going to be in for a treat with that one as well. With I think it was like a white, and then I think there's a bit of a Nottingham design within it. If we're right, but we'll soon find out, I guess. But Forest in normal fashion like to delay all this sort of stuff. But just to let everyone know, we've got 345 people in here. So if you could drop us a like and a subscribe, that would be absolutely lovely. It goes a long way. The numbers have been going up, and it's been very, very nice to see lots of new people getting involved in the chat and everything. But the next normal kind of thing happened this week, which was Jair Cunha has finally signed for the club, Reese. It was a bit is he coming, is he going kind of scenario with numerous reports, and obviously he having a good game against PSG and Atletico and doing quite well in the Club World Cup. He scored his first goal for Botafogo, and it was kind of like, oh, well, Real Madrid are interested, so maybe he's not going to go. He finally got announced, and it's good to see that we've got another player through the door, and another promising player from if you're going to go off what Sergio Santana said on our podcast for several weeks ago before it finally did get announced the other day.
Yeah, I felt a little bit sorry for him in a way because it just got lost, didn't it, within all the major traffic of Alanga going and Morgan Gibbs-White potentially going, and then obviously the Europa League situation. Same as the kit. You know, the amount of effort what went into the original reveal for that was substantial, and obviously because of sales and of players and with what happened with Morgan, it's kind of gone down the pan. So yeah, shame. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit on this podcast and say, yeah, I watch Brazilian Serie A every week and I've watched the Club World Cup, because I haven't. You know, he's at this moment in time, he's a young prospect. Like I said on a previous pod, you're hoping he kind of comes over and is at least half the player Murillo is, because then we're on to a winner, aren't we? So, yeah, but he'll come over and it'll be interesting to see where we kind of see him. But, you know, when Murillo come over, it wasn't long before he was in the team, wasn't he? He was that good in training with this from Steve Cook, from Harry Toffolo. They just could not play him. So, yeah, we'll see. He's still really young, isn't he? And whether he comes in and maybe has a loan, or he comes in and if he's good enough, he'll be part of the squad, especially if whatever happens with the European thing. So, yeah, and I think it's an exciting signing, isn't it? Because we just, if you can pinch these players from South America and turn them into, I know I keep using Murillo as the example, but into a player like him, then yeah, you're onto a winner, because would make absolutely substantial money and we'd have a really good player for the club over several seasons.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm wondering, Lee, if bringing him in is an indication of what direction we might be going in terms of formation. Obviously, Christian mentioned yesterday we played 4-2-3-1, then we went 3-4-3, and I know Nuno is favoured going to that formation to close out games last season. So maybe is it an indication that he might want to favour the three at the back a little bit more this coming season? It might ease us in terms of the Thursday, Sunday schedule potentially. Well, it is coming, obviously, depending on which competition it is, of course.
No, I don't think this signing is really an indication of that, to be honest. I think the fact that we offered Bolly a new contract it is indicative of that anyway. I think Nuno likes options, doesn't he? I think when a player like this becomes available, it's if the club really like him, they've got to get him rather than, risk, when Bolly sacks it. Well, he's not going to get another contract, you wouldn't think, Bolly. So in 12 months' time, we might have missed the boat with Cunha. So, yeah, I think they've just done it because they see him as a bit of a future talent. I think the fact that we're in 4 competitions next year will certainly help him if he does stick around, which I think he will. Yeah, it was interesting actually because he must have grown at the Club World Cup. Because I think when we first linked with him, he was 6'5", and then when we signed him, he was 6'6". So, it looks like Reece has just said there, it looks like a positive signing for the future. But I guess at the minute the jury's out a little bit what sort of role he'll play. I think he's left-sided as well, isn't he? So
I believe he can play both. He's both footed, definitely. That's what the reports are saying. And he was playing right hand side in the Club World Cup, to be fair.
I think what I would say is Morato, obviously, as we've said before, I think he had that really dodgy game against Aston Villa, and everyone had all of a sudden decided that he actually wasn't very good. I think what we've seen with Morato is he's very good at coming on to see out games. Are we still a bit uncertain over whether he's capable of, let's say, if Murillo or Milenkovic gets injured, would we really trust Morato to be starting week in, week out? Not sure we've seen that from him yet. So I guess that position of being kind of the first call up in the absence of the 2 first choice M's, shall we say, it's up for grabs. So if someone in pre-season can, step up and show that they're a little bit more capable than Morato, then the pieces could change very quickly with that, because I think one of them will probably go out, I guess. It's not going to be Bolly, but in terms of, you've then got Carmo, Morato and Cunha now, who, I just can't see us persisting with all 3 of those. So I think pre-season will be kind of a big period for them 3.
I think Carmo's going to go, and that's just an Olympiacos signing what's not worked out for them. Same with Stamenic. I can't see them having any future at Forest personally. I'd happily be proven wrong, but I'd bet on they'll be going somewhere by the end of the window. Just a couple of other points, but, it's something what Nuno played at Wolves, wanted he liked to back 3. So if obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White does go, which we're expecting he does, and we go and we kind of get rid of this 10, that does give him some more flexibility to play that with like 2 wing backs, because Olo and Nico can get forward really well, can't they? So, and then the other point is it's about succession planning as well, because at some point Murillo is probably going to leave Forest. That is the truth, as much as he's not going to be here his whole career. So for clubs who are probably outside of the Sky Six, let's say, you've got to look at your succession down the line, because that's how you keep on the continuity of the squad. We've seen Brighton do it, and they become an established Premier League team. Now, some fans will say, well, I don't want to be like Brighton, but 5 years ago, we would have took it, wouldn't we? An established Premier League team fighting for cups, fighting for Europe every season. So yeah, and hopefully he'll be a good player for us. But I think Carmo will be one who go. Morato, to make a point on Morato as well, he come in really late into last season. So a good Nuno pre-season. We've seen what that did for all of the squad pretty much. Hopefully he can get back to his best. But he's got to be played on the left side as well. When Nuno played him on the right, he was clearly uncomfortable. So if he does play next season, hopefully it's on the left as well.
Yeah, I was going to add to that actually. He's either got to be in the middle or on the left. It just makes more sense. It's very strange to shift him out to that right hand side. It's just a recipe for disaster. Christian, anything to add on the Jair Cunha deal Morato discussion?
Yeah, it's interesting. Morato, he was on the right again yesterday, weren't he, Morato? But he kept sort of chopping in. I think he sort of said about how we were set up in the second half. Morato was seen as one of the more creative forces in the side. He looked good yesterday, to be fair to say. He looked good. I know I got to see first game pre-season back, but he looked sharp. I did think he got a bit of an unfair rep towards the end of the season, Morato. He started off very well. Again, it's just fickle nature of football, isn't it? He comes in, he's a doorman, he shuts everyone down, sort of thing. We all sort of, laud how we don't lose a point when he comes on as a sub. But it just felt that whether it was a lack of sharpness or whatever else, he didn't seem fully equipped for that last hurdle of the season, which again probably comes from him coming in late. That probably was a contributing factor towards that. And that's another reason why I'm quietly very concerned about our transfer activity so far, but we'll come on to that shortly. As for Cunha, I thought it was very funny how his agent after the PSG game was suddenly going, no, nothing's done with Forest and Real Madrid won him, and then makes a mistake in the Atletico game and suddenly it's radio silence. He signs as he was going to expect to do the whole time 2 weeks later. So I'm sure that could be something that arises again in the future, as we've again established that agents are not really our best friends at this moment in time. But it's good news for the club. I think, like Reece said, it's succession planning, which is nice. It's something that we haven't done, especially in the forward areas, in any capacity. So it's nice to see Forest at least start to do that in the defensive standpoint.
Yeah, no, it's all good going forward. I think there's plenty of options for Nuno there and everything else. But moving swiftly on, in the chat I've been asking for it is the Morgan Gibbs-White conversation. We brought this on Thursday with Danny and Mason, and it was an absolute it was just mental really of like what we was discussing and what's happened. And someone who is he's a friend of ours in real life and in Steve Allen. I think his daughter pictured with Morgan Gibbs-White in Netherfield Nando's yesterday, of all places. I do hear that he absolutely loves that place. So I just want obviously to talk about that openly of what you're thinking. It's obviously going down a bit of a legal route. I don't know how much of that is true, Reece, to start off with yourself, because it seems like this whole release clause was an NDA sort of situation, and no one should have known about the release clause. Only Morgan, his agent, and the club know about it, and it's just how it happened that Tottenham have submitted the right amount. And I was discussing with Reece yesterday at the game, like, is it just a case that Tottenham have offered that amount of money and been lucky, or what? Because we were obviously quoting a high amount of money, but you know how teams like to lowball teams, as we found out with Newcastle and Dante Elanga, until we finally agreed on a price that we wanted.
Yeah, Tottenham do like to strike a deal, don't they, as well, with, Mr. Levy at the top of the club. He is a very shrewd operator, isn't he, in that sense? So I think that's what's obviously got Forest ears twigging that it's bang on what the release clause was, which to everybody was a secret. So there's obviously legality. Looking into it more, there's obviously legality around that release clause. I think it's clear, really, that probably an agent's been at play, Morgan's agent, because it went from David Ornstein saying there was interest to within, and I timed this, an hour and 10 minutes of a medical's been booked. Now, look, I don't think a footballer who's just expecting a child and who's got a child and a family settled here can make a decision that he wants to go to Tottenham within an hour and 10 minutes. So I think that it's obviously been behind the scenes for a few days now, hasn't it? Clearly behind Forest's back, because they didn't approach Forest. They've gone straight to Morgan and his team. And I think it's pretty evident, really, that he wants to go, which I understand in the sense that, Tottenham have got better stadium, better facilities in the Champions League, and footballers, as we see with Murillo, because he's down there every week, they love London. They do. And he's got, a partner who's an influencer. So London's vastly attractive for him. So I get that. It's just, obviously, from a fan's perspective, he's not done it the right way. He doesn't seem it's been done the right way with no kind of respect for Forest. But, Roy Keane hit it bang on the head, and I'll keep using this saying: if you want loyalty, get a dog. Because to footballers, it's a job, and it's as fans, we get kind of caught up in all this PR that they say, and we've seen what Morgan said: I'd rather play nowhere else. But if someone offers you more money and a better opportunity, they take it, don't they? And a lot of people do. It's obviously, I see it as a business, and I don't get caught up in players going and leaving. And now it's more kind of for the kids, isn't it? Because they get really upset and that about it. But from my perspective now, obviously, I get why Forest have reported them, because it's been done clearly behind Forest's back, and he's our player. The only thing is, I don't really want it to go into a saga, because I think it's clear now Morgan's bridges are burnt, and you just want the deal to happen, and then kind of Forest go down a legal route of if it gets more money, or I'm not bothered with if anything happened to Tottenham. All I want to see is Forest get more money from the deal, really. And I kind of want to move on. He clearly wants to go. So I don't want him kind of hanging around, because they'll be back at training tomorrow, all the lads who have been on international. So I'm not sure what his situation is. Is he going to be back at training? We need to recruit players, and obviously him going will give us that bigger budget, won't it? So we kind of just need to move on, really. But it looks like it's going to come to a sad end, really, his Forest career. And he's obviously tarnished his legacy. But again, the Roy Keane statement comes to mind. This is football, isn't it? For these lads, they live in a bubble, and they don't feel it. They don't feel it like us, because we're fans and we're loyal to our club, don't we? So they just see it as a job, and when a better opportunity arises, they obviously want to move on.
Yeah, no, I completely understand it in that respect, but I just think he should have we should have gone about it a different way. That I completely agree with.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a shame it's gone like that, mate. But do we expect any less, really? Look, you see it all the time from players. I know fans, we do buy into this PR, we do, but it is all PR at the end of the day, what they say off the field and that. They do it to get fans on side at the time, because they want the support, don't they? We've seen countless players, and this is not just for Forest, but as soon as something better comes along, they want out, don't they? They sign a contract, they sign these 5-year contracts, whatever. They do well for a couple of 2 or 3 years, which Morgan has, no doubt about that. And then a better opportunity comes and they move on. So for me, it's kind of, support and wide here, but as soon as they go, move on. It's just the nature of the beast. Otherwise, you'll just make yourself upset, really.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in agreement with that. Lee, how do you see the situation going forward? Do you see it as Tottenham are going to have to strike a deal with Forest if there is a legal complication to this, that they either give us more money, or we might see them try and bargain with maybe giving us a player as well? I mean, I absolutely adore Wilson Udaba as a prospect for us. I know he might be a little bit out of reach, but with Tottenham signing Mohamed Kudus, I don't know how he sees game time personally, but money or a player, what would you like to see happen?
Oh, I don't really know, because, I mean, if the release clause is 60 million, then clearly we're not going to get any more money, are we? I think if is Marinakis kind of saying that he wants a little bit more so that he doesn't take the legal case any further, I don't really know. Just to touch on what Reece has said, I totally get the whole. I think with Gibbs-White, it's an interesting one, because I think Forest fans probably, in our heart of hearts, we probably knew this was coming. I mean, let's face it, Gibbs-White wanted to come to us in the first place. Is it a similar situation? A little bit. Is it a sign of modern day football? Yeah. Could it? It's just all happened really like miserably. I just didn't think Gibbs-White would be. I didn't think the departure of him would be this acrimonious.
Because it's come on the back of Elanga as well, and that's the thing. I think if he'd gone to City, thought Morgan would have gone this summer. Let's be honest, and he would be the only player to go. And I think most fans would hold a hand up and say, "Yeah, we move on." But because it's a double whammy and the two massive players for us, I think that's the pain what's come personally. And how obviously the move's been engineered, how quickly I've never seen a transfer move as quickly as that. Like I said, within an hour, it was literally interest to a medical booked within an hour. crazy, really. But it's obviously been going on behind the scenes, hasn't it? Sorry, Lee.
Yeah, it's just I just didn't see it coming with him. Like I say, with it being so quick and that, but yeah, I think it's going to happen. I'm just a bit disappointed it's Tottenham, because I know they've got a new manager. I know they're in the Champions League. I just think he's better than Tottenham, and I don't mean that to sound awful. God, with how sensitive every other fan base is towards us at the minute, this will probably get all sorts of pelters saying that we're a bigger club than Tottenham. I'm not saying that. Are Tottenham going to be in the Champions League next year? Yeah. They're going to get 8 games as a minimum. Will they get any more? I mean, that's up for debate at the minute. They've reinforced the squad. Would the signing of Gibbs-White... Where's Gibbs-White going to play at Tottenham? I mean, I personally think he's probably better than Maddison. Maddison's numbers weren't actually that bad last year. Is Frank going to just bin him off? Is he going to go? I don't know. There's loads of attacking players going in. They still want Wissa. They've signed Kudus. Yeah, he'll get his 8 games next year as a minimum, won't he? That's if he's going to play. Will they qualify for the Champions League next year? I don't think they will. So the year after he's in a situation again, is he then going to be twerking for Man City again? I don't know. I just get I read something on Twitter I thought was really good, and I don't know if it was one of you guys that said it even. Morgan Gibbs-White seems like a career player. I think he will always do what's right for his career. There's nothing wrong with that. I think deep down he knew that the first couple of seasons for Forest back in the Prem would be a struggle, but I think it was the perfect club for him to come in, a Premier League club, play every week, be the main man, and then hopefully get a move like this. Do I think he'll sign a contract and stay at Tottenham forever? No. I think as soon as Pep sees how well he's doing at Tottenham, he'll still be interested, he'll still like him, and he'll probably convince his board to go and pay big money again for him. So yeah.
Can I just say on City, to me, it says a lot that they're not willing to hijack that deal for 60 million. That does say a lot. Do they fancy him that much?
They've got Cherky and Reinders, so why? Pep's already got spoken about needing a smaller squad. It makes no sense to go and buy Gibbs-White now. They've got replacements in.
If I get what you're saying, but if obviously they're really, really keen on him, that is probably the most cut price deal you're going to get for him, isn't it? You understand what I mean? And then there was on about that Nico Gonzalez was already kind of going someone in that midfield area, which is crazy. So, are you kind of seeing it as when Pep was talking to him at the semi-final, when the reports were being put out, was that just to basically turn his head and obviously disrupt our campaign, possibly?
It's like I get that. I get as well that, like, I'm always a big one that, when people want everything to have happened yesterday in the transfer window, I'm always one of them that kind of tempers that and says, look, different parts moving different timescales. I just think it's a shame from a fan point of view that we've qualified for Europe. I get that it's not necessarily the competition that we want. Well, Palace have helped us a little bit with that, but I'm sure we'll come on to that in a bit. But I just think it's one of those sort of things where you kind of, okay, Elanga's going. Howe's liked him for ages. He was always going to go. Do we expect one big sale, 1 or 2 big sales, I suppose, as a club like us? Yeah. I just think it's a shame that we've now gone and sold the crown jewels, as I keep saying it, 2 of them in 1 week. Well, in 2 days it was going to be the other day. I just think it would have been nice if they kind of said to Gibbs-White, look, you can go to Tottenham, let's strike this deal, let's keep it a bit hush-hush, let us get some players in. Again, the PR thing, let us get some players in and then we'll let you go. Because now at the minute, every club in the world who we're trying to buy from knows we're 2 massive gaps in our 11 short. So what happens? James McAtee's gone from 25 million to 45 million overnight. I wonder why that is. Clubs know that they've got us by the short and curlies, and it's going to make, I keep saying it, but I've just got an awful feeling we're not going to get the players that, as fans, we're craving for next season. James
McAtee's also gone back down to 20 million as well, all in the same breath,
They're all negotiation tactics on it. What is interesting as well is if this move would have come a couple of weeks ago, I wonder if we would have held on to Elanga or not. That would have been very interesting. I would bet on that. I think we would have done. I think we would have told Newcastle, look, unless he would have gone absolutely rogue and really pushed for it. I know it would have been easy personally for John Percy to say, yeah, he's pushed for it. That's why Forest have sold, and everyone could say, well, he's pushed for it. We've got to let him go. But he turned around. Percy, who's a club, club journalist, really, isn't he now? He turned around and said he didn't push for it. I know there's been, a video of him prattling about in Asula's Newcastle shirt, but this is what young lads do. we've done it as young lads. We do stupid things, and because footballers are in the public domain, we kind of hold them to a higher standard. When at the end of the day, they're just young lads and they live in a bubble, and the agents have to wipe the backsides, don't they, through life? We see it. I mean, how much stuff do they probably actually do themselves, like day to day? What a normal adult does, probably not much. So, you know,
I mean, that
is what it is.
That Agent Asula video is. I mean, that could be a timeless classic when he signs on loan for Preston in a couple of years' time. I mean, I get it. It's just like you know,
this is what they like.
If Forest had done that, I suppose we'd lap it up. But it's just, I just find that really, really. Yeah. I'd rather John Percy come out now and said, "Do you know what, Alanga didn't want to go." I just think it's making a mockery of us as fans. That you say this PR thing, it is PR, and they've done it for the fans, haven't they? Because they know that these little accounts have been tracking flights more than Flight Radar all year, and they've moved on to planes from London now because they're signing the Palace centre half. And yeah, it's just I hate that it's just happened to us. I
told you they're a strange fan base, mate. I've said this all along. When our fans on Twitter they're dead nice to you, Newcastle, when they beat you, but as soon as you beat them, as we saw back in the day when we beat them with 9 men, what was it? You protested, replay the game, and there was obviously booing Henry Lansbury, biggest boo of the season when Lansbury scored an own goal at St James's for Villa. So they've always been the same. Yeah, lovely and shake your hand, lovely warm people when they beat you, but as soon as you beat them, they can't take it. So I expected nothing less from them. Let's hope we can, Chris Wood can turn into prime Ronaldo again up there this season.
I mean, Christian, you've waited patiently as Lee and Reese have had a good discussion there, I think, about everything and been quite balanced on the whole subject. I mean, what's your take on it? I know you had your feelings. I think it was more towards Postecoglou, and then Tottenham kind of just got the brunt of the Postecoglou hate, to be fair, last season. But are you disappointed that it is Spurs and not Man City to say? Because at least you go, well, he's going to Pep and he's going to go win a hatful of trophies more than likely. And then also, who would you like to see maybe brought in to take on that role, or do you see it as a case of maybe Elliot Anderson steps into those shoes and we reinforce in behind in central midfield?
It's a good question. I completely agree with Lee. Gibbs-White's way better than Spurs. Sorry, that's the honest truth of the matter. I think the frustration is that I also agree with Reese in that had this come earlier in the summer, and his agent, let's put it right. This is where it's come from. Gibbs-White's agent has obviously told Spurs, by the way, this confidential NDA clause is X amount, offer X amount, and you'll get him. Had that come before Alanga being sold, I'm adamant we would have told Newcastle, you can bid 150 million if you want. He's going nowhere, because you can afford to bid. You can afford to lose one player. You cannot afford to lose 2 key ones, especially in those forward areas. Because don't get me wrong, our fans are now going through the whole jealous X thing. I've seen it. I saw someone say earlier that Gibbs-White went quiet after the City game. It's like he got 3 goal contributions in the last 5 games this season, more than any other Forest player. You cannot tell me that he ducked the call to try and get Forest Champions League. It's absolute nonsense. But the fact of the matter is, he'll go Spurs and start. He is leagues ahead of Maddison. There's no doubt about that in my mind at all. He's a significantly better footballer. He puts in more work rate. He does more, gives you much more as a number 10. Hence why he can play centre mid as well. Doesn't also demand to be the main man at his family roast like that weirdo does. So there's a bonus there as well for good measure. We also have to factor in Thomas Tuchel and all this. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind after international break in March that Gibbs-White knew then he was off. I said that on this podcast as well. I said these would be his last games for the club, regardless of how Forest do this season. It's been made very clear at England level that unless you're playing for a Sky 6 side and playing in a Champions League for them, then you aren't going to be involved, especially where there's competition for your places. So I completely understand why he wants to go to Tottenham. Well, not Tottenham. I completely understand why he would go to a Champions League club. Again, they've won 1 trophy in 20 odd years. I know it looks like they've got outside investment now with the Saudis, maybe they're giving the stadium sponsor and whatever else. It looks like they might actually have quite a lot of money to spend. We're seeing that now, obviously buying Kudus. They've already signed Tell. It looks like they want Adam Mawson from Palace as well. Also linking up Paulinho too. They want Visser. Suddenly it sounds like Spurs, because Levy is not like this. We know this full well. They've just found a load of money behind the back of the sofa and gone, right, okay, we want to build an actual team that can compete. If that's the case, fair enough. I could be looking at this in a year's time and Spurs might finish top 4 and win a cup again and be like, you know what, fine, he made the right move for him, good for him. But I think it's just the manner of how it's been done is painful because we worship the ground he walked on. We gave him a massive tifo. We're incredibly patient with him at times where he wasn't a Champions League level player. He has been this season. That's the hurtful thing, I think, because there are ways of handling your exits. I mean, had he left on good terms, he'd have come back, he'd have had his name cheered and whatever else. Booed while he'd been playing, maybe, but again, he walked off to a massive clap. Now that's probably not going to happen. We've already seen the whole snake comments and this, that, and the other, which is it's unfortunate, but if you handle your exit in this way, it's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's a huge coup for Spurs. If it gets done, of course, what I think might happen is that if it is as blatant as that and that an NDA clause has been revealed to them and they've bid the exact amount, which is what it sounds like by all accounts, I suspect that to make it go away, Levy will probably throw a few million towards it, just get it over the line and done. Liverpool did the same thing with Van Dijk and Southampton when Southampton reported them to the Premier League, and then they signed him. The investigation mysteriously went away. So I wouldn't be surprised if something similar happens, which, it's a few money, it is what it is. But yeah, it's just a real shame. I think it hurts Forest a lot more because he gives you a lot more. Again, the fans going, oh, he's goes missing or whatever else. He's not a £100 million player. He gives you performances sporadically, blah, blah, blah. It's just nonsense. He's been our best player consistently. He's the best player I've seen at Forest in my time supporting the club. People might say Murillo and Anderson and whatever else. And, again, the whole JSX thing of, no, he wasn't that good. Of course he was that good. That's why he was the first Forest player to play for England in God knows how many years. He was the first, when we were crap as well. We weren't, he was always banging on the doors getting the England squad. He should have gone to the Euros ahead of Anderson then. So yeah, there's no way around it. It is a colossal loss for the football club. I don't think you can replace him personally. I think you have to change system because you can't. In terms of how important he is to Forest, you can't replace him directly. You cannot buy a footballer with. And this is where Lee's point touched on earlier. Any self-respecting footballer is going to not look at Nottingham Forest right now. Your Vissers, your Bakayokos. I pray I'm wrong on that one, but I don't think I'm going to be. They will not look at Forest now and think, yeah, I want a bit of that. I'll replace Gibbs-White as the main man. I'll be the hero to save the day. They'll look at us and think that's a sinking ship. I'm going nowhere near it. That's the honest truth of the matter. Again, you can afford to lose one. You can't afford to lose two. And that's going to hurt us in the market. The reality is we'll get bent over a barrel for players like McAtee. They won't be good enough to replace him. And, we won't maintain where we've been. It's going to be very, very difficult to do so, especially with the new schedule of Thursday, Sunday. So, yeah, it's catastrophic news for the club, really. Again, there's many points of fingers to blame. Realistically, it does come down to the age, and you have to also question why Forest, if they're going to bid £42.5 million for a player and go to that amount with add-ons and whatever else, why would they have a £60 million release clause for that player? That seems very naive. But
I would like to think that's because Steve Cooper was desperate to get him, and it was like let's get him across the line at any means necessary because I want him, and if we don't get him, there was obviously the talk of him walking away. And to counter you think people won't come because there's a sinking ship, I personally think there's an opposite effect there. I think there's got to be a player that comes and goes, well Bakayoko almost looks like it could be happening. Because the thing is that well, you've got to let me have my point, Christian, because I've let you have your point, right? Let me talk, right? So a young player can come in, look at Forest and go, right, they've had Morgan Gibbs-White, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Elliot Anderson, Ante Elanga, Murillo, Nico Williams, and gave him an opportunity to thrive on one of the biggest stages in world football. Are you telling me a young kid, 21, 22, maybe even 23, is not going to want to come to a team that's just come 7th in the league, that have got good pressure in terms of we're going to have expectations, but we're also not going to be like, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this wrong? If it goes a little bit wrong and they get a flick or a trick wrong, because that's what happened with Gibbs-White. That's what happened with Elanga. It's what happens with Callum Hudson-Odoi. You lambasted Nico Williams. He's gone on in 3 seasons now and become one of the best left backs in the league last season.
These players, we need to sign players to replace these ones now. We can't be signing players like McAtee and say go and replace Gibbs-White. It won't happen. They won't. They will not put up the numbers for it.
Why not? Why can't he? Why can't he prove you wrong?
Level. He's nowhere near that level.
You're looking.
You're letting him go, and Gibbs-White's going for 60 million.
What you're doing is you're looking to sign them players and then they grow into that level. Because when we signed Gibbs-White, not played much in the Premier League, has he? Odd times for Wolves, Wolves when we come, at the time were in a couple of seasons ahead of us in the Premier League. So he's come to us. And like you said, Adam, that release, I've just done it on FM. I wanted the player so much that the agent put in that he's got to have this minimum release clause. And I took the deal because I wanted him to come. And I know if he's good, if he does well for me, a club is going to come in and pay that release clause. And at the end of the day, the club's made money. Gibbs-White's given us 3 years of service. I know it's hard to swallow, but I understand why that is in there, because if the agent then turns around and says, I'll tell you what, then we won't do a deal. Like we said, Steve Cooper, he was Steve Cooper's number one target. We wanted him through the door. And I guarantee if we go back, fans would have said, just anything, just do the deal, because that's what football fans are like. We just want these players in. So Forest had done the deal. He's given us 3 years of service. He's probably on the books about around 20 million quid. So if he does go for 60 million, again, yeah, it's horrible to swallow because Alanga's gone. We've made probably 30 to 40 million profit on him on the books. Now we've got to go and obviously reinvest that money. And I get what you guys are saying. I agree with both of you. Like, we're not probably going to get a player at Gibbs-White's level because they cost 60 million and Forest aren't going to spend that. But what Adam's point is we're hoping we get a player in, say, like a McAtee or a Harvey Elliott, and they grow into what Gibbs-White's been like for us. Now, I look at Harvey Elliott, and he does seem to me like the type of player who would relish being like a main man somewhere. You've seen that in the Euros. I know it's only under 23s or under 21s or whatever, but he's just one example. But I do also agree with Christian as well. I do think we will, because you are limited when you play with a 10. We saw this in the second season. Gibbs-White was on the wing. We was like, he's wasted out there. We need to play him as a 10. But you are limited in your formation if you are playing with a 10. So I kind of think what we'll do is, go to that 3 in midfield or 3 at the back, which allows you to play a 2 in midfield. You brought in a £30 million CDM of 6, who just ended the season pretty decently. I thought in Sangare. You've got a player in Anderson who also could replace Gibbs-White in terms of if we did play with a 10, but you've got to reinforce that central midfield area now. So, look, all we can do, because it would drive you insane if you worry about it, doesn't it? Because we do worry about it.
Absolutely. That's why there's two sides to the coin.
Yeah, of course. It's a massive blow, but yeah, the likelihood is we're probably going to be bringing in players who have potential to grow into Gibbs-White.
Then we won't maintain our position. Simple as that.
Probably not, no. But it's going to be tough anyway, even if we would have kept this squad together with the Thursdays and Sundays, which is likely going to happen. I did think there would be a drop-off, to be honest. I did personally think that anyway, even if we'd have kept the squad together personally.
Just a couple of reasons to be cheerful, to try and come full circle. For what it's worth, I tend to think this release clause, I know that Marinakis came out and told Jim White that he wanted to bloody win the league and all this, that and the other after we got promoted. I think personally, people inside the club looked at that Premier League the first year he came up and thought, this is going to be tough. We might go down. But if we do, the challenge is to kind of be like Fulham. When Fulham had that proper cheat code FM team that walks the Championship. And I think we saw Gibbs-White as a player who, if we put a 60 million release clause in to get him, obviously, he'd have been, even if he'd had the same season and we still went down, would anyone have come sniffing for him after one season? The cards were still in our sort of favour. So I wonder if we kind of thought, if we put that release clause in, we'll probably keep him in that Championship team as well. Give us another season, then we might let you go after that. The fact it's not been negotiated out, as the club tried to get it out, tried to get him a new deal where we can take it out, possibly. Yeah. I'd be surprised. I think it's easy to bash the club with that stick. Some people like to do that. I bet they've asked if he'll sign a new contract. Of course, he's had the whole debacle with Tuchel not picking him and all that sort of stuff. He's not stupid. He seems like an intelligent kid. So he's obviously not willing to sign a new contract. And then the other thing I would say is, I do get the whole, we're not going to, I've been as negative as you, Christian, in our group chat, to be fair, since it all happened. Thankfully, I've had other stuff on this weekend.
Victor Meldrew level.
And I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic now. I think I get it. It's very easy to kind of say, we're not going to maintain where we are. I just look at, I keep banging the drum about it, but you look at the other clubs like Brighton, Brentford, they must have felt the same when they were selling players, hand over fist every single season, sometimes 3 at a time. The players that they've clearly signed to replace them, they've hit the jackpot with them, and we're going to have to do something similar. But they have managed to maintain it to us, within 3 or 4 gaps in the league. So I think it is doable. It's just I just think we've not helped ourselves with getting rid of 2 straight away and telling every club in the world that we've got loads of money.
You can just see.
But the planning doesn't seem the planning doesn't add up to me. That's all. Yeah,
it's poor. There's no doubt about it. It's poor, and like you said, we're already seeing it now. Players going to say, oh, okay, yeah, here's another 10, 20 million on the target you want because we know you're scrambling, we know you've got the money for it. So we're going to get bent over a barrel then for players that might be good in 2-3 years' time. We did the whole same thing again. So it's just frustrating. I think that, like I said, if you lose one, that's fixable. That is generally fixable. You can sort of keep the bulk of your team together, and you're isolating on one core player for one part of the team. To lose 2 in that area of the pitch as well. I mean, the hardest thing in football to do is score goals. So, and we've just taken away one of the most creative players in the league and our leading assist taker within 48 hours. And we've got to replace that, signing people who might be good in a few years. It's a huge risk. And that's the danger for me. But ultimately, he's gone. There's no point pretending otherwise. That deal will go through, whether it's now, whether it's the end of the window, whether it's next week. And under a legality, he will go to Tottenham. And, good luck to him. Shame he's burnt his bridges in the way he has, but we need to figure out a way now of actually getting a team competitive again because they're huge shoes to fill.
I think that's why Forest are upset as well, aren't they? Just the last point on it. That's why I think clearly Forest are upset because, we've sold Elanga, probably want to sell one player this window, then all of a sudden this comes out behind their backs. I think that's part of the reason why we're upset because, like Christian said, it's not a good look for the club, is it? You're selling 2 of your best players. They'll probably accept we've got to sell 1 per window. That's why they've probably done the Elanga deal. But, fair enough. I get it if, say, we recruit and we've got a squad and then towards the end of the window someone bids nearly, between 60 and 70 million when Forest think, well, we've actually got a squad now. Yeah, he's not going to sign a new deal. Forest would have tried. I'd be absolutely staggered if Forest wouldn't have tried to get that deal put out. But it's clear that he doesn't want to sign it because at the first opportunity he's got of leaving, he's wanted to go. So he clearly doesn't want to sign. And then you see people putting, well, why didn't he sign a new deal and put in a release clause like Jack Grealish did? Because he wants to go. Why would he sign a new deal and put a £100 million release clause in? Because nobody will pay that. City have learned that the hard way with Grealish because, apart from the treble season, it's not, I'd say, worked massively hard for in that deal. So why would he sign a new deal and put in a release clause what isn't going to get him out the door? He clearly wants out the door, doesn't he? So it's just, like I've said, it's just because it's come so close to the Elanga deal, that's what's caused, and how he's done it is what's caused the upset.
Yeah, definitely. It's just bad timing. Last point, Christian, because we do need to move on to this Europa League nonsense.
It's something Reece said earlier. I forgot to flag at the time. The players, according to the Athletic article this morning, so your Gibbs-Whites, your Andersons, Sangares, your international boys, Milenkovic, etc., they're due to come in, I think, later this week, so Wednesday, Thursday time. So I guess we'll figure out then. Obviously, we've got Monaco next Saturday at Chesterfield. I don't know how you can squeeze in Monaco and Chesterfield in the same sentence, but here we are. But so whether any of them even feature in that is another matter. But yeah, we won't see any of them until next Thursday, probably the earliest.
Maybe someone from Monte Carlo wants to see the crooked spire. I got many fans anyway in Monaco.
In the comments, there seems to have been a very, very angry Crystal Palace fan, and we're going to address the issue in a balanced and try not to be so biased, but it is going to be biased. We're on a Nottingham Forest podcast, so we've got to talk about the whole scenario that is related to Crystal Palace and Lyon. Obviously, Lyon got reinstated back into Liga, and it seemed like it was going to happen pretty much because French football is so much on its arse. They couldn't bear witness for one of their golden boys to get into League Two, which is weird because they didn't do that for Bordeaux at all. So strange in that matter. But so Crystal Palace have then been demoted to the Conference League because Lyon finished higher in the league table in France. So Lee, what's your take on all the matter? Obviously, because it seems like it's all Forest's fault. We've snitched to UEFA. We've took what's rightfully not ours, apparently, even though we finished 7th in the league, which would have got Europa League football had Man City done what they what we all thought they would do, because it was great for a neutral. Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup, brilliant, because they got away with one with Dean Henderson handballing the ball out of the box. Let's not forget about that. These are the rules, because Steve Parish and John Textor missed the deadline, and we didn't. I'm in the side of they had little faith that their team would win a cup competition that they were in and going for. Strange.
Yeah, I mean, I keep seeing people saying, "Oh, well, how is he supposed to know? We not even played Millwall in the quarterfinal when we had to submit it." Well, you submit it just in case. If you're still in a competition that you can win, that's the rule. That's everyone else managed it. Brighton was still in it. They had us to play. They submitted it just in case they won it.
Bournemouth too.
I think Bournemouth were the same. Yeah, I think they had to submit something just in case they got in the one of the competitions through the league. But Palace are the media darlings, aren't they? They never do anything wrong. So what can we do to maintain that image? Just blame it all on Forest, who kick up a stink about everything. I mean, if this was Aston Villa who were going to benefit and jump up the competitions, would Rory be on TalkSport bemoaning Forest and saying that Villa should step aside? I somehow sense he wouldn't because it's Villa. If it was any other club, Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, see any of the other 19, maybe with the exception of Leeds, if it was them, they like to get a bit of bashing as well, don't they, from certain sections. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Parish saying, I can't imagine Nottingham Forest would feel. Well, how does Steve Parish know how Nottingham Forest are feeling? I mean, I have to laugh as well because I think this is the first time I've been on when this has all been in the news. So I can imagine it's a bit of a, thoughts off my chest. But like, I just don't understand how people are saying, well, Marinakis is good. Palace fans are saying that journalists don't know anything about it all. And then in the same breath, they're saying that, this journalist says that Marinakis has complained. Marinakis is a multi-club owner, so he's probably just wanting clarification of the rules. I mean, that's me trying to defend Marinakis, admittedly, but no one knows what's in that letter. No one knows that conversation with UEFA, except for Palace fans who are now going to believe all those journalists that know nothing about this whole case. But it turns out they did know something about the case because they've been kicked out. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting one. Can I see them winning an appeal? Probably not, if I'm being honest. I'm not going to get too excited about the Europa League because I'm quite relaxed over which European competition we're going to be in anyway. I've got to be honest. I think it swings and roundabouts. The Europa League, hey, Christian said we could win the Europa League, to be fair, if Tottenham can. And he's got a point. If you get a bit of luck with the draw, why not? It's not the Champions League where you're definitely going into that going, well, we're not going to win it. It's not quite that. You need a bit of luck. Obviously, if we're in the Conference League, we start it as, provided we win that playoff, we start it as one of the favourites. So I am quite relaxed. But yeah, it looks a bit messy. I find it a little bit hard to take that it's Forest that are getting bashed when it's them that's broke the rules. Where was all this sympathy when we got the points deducted? When we did break the rules and we had to take out
more.
But yeah, I go back to my original comment. Palace, they don't do anything wrong. They don't do anything wrong. Don't know what they did on the day of the final when Atwell somehow didn't give an handball outside the box. But they won the FA Cup fair and square, remember. It was great for football. There was no injustice in that particular final. So yeah, it doesn't sit right with me. I just think it's a bit rubbish that all these media, all these neutrals are going on platforms and saying, "Oh, Forest should do this, Forest should do that." We've not done anything wrong here. We've not done anything wrong. I still sense they'd be saying the same if nothing had come out about this letter from Marinakis. I just don't understand. I don't understand why we're getting bashed for it all. It's
just so you don't get bashed, Lee. Huddersfield also didn't get an injustice in the playoff final.
They didn't. You're right. But also, we've all said, haven't we, that Huddersfield were. Rob's the wrong word because they didn't have a shot on target. Who says they wouldn't have put the penalty into orbit? They should have had one penalty. Do you know what I mean?
But this is football. We go back to the 91 final. We got absolutely robbed when Gascoigne should have been sent off, when he decapitated two of our players. Tottenham went on to win the cup. It was the only trophy what Brian Clough never won. We'd never won the cup since 1959. This is football. Look, ask Simon Jordan. Ask Simon, and elect another one. Ask Simon Jordan how Steve Parish acquired Crystal Palace if we're on about doing the right things, and he'll tell you it wasn't the right way to do things, but such is life. Like the Huddersfield thing, look at the Bournemouth game before it when we got completely robbed, when Atwell again didn't give us a penalty, what was absolutely blatant. Yeah, we broke the rules when we come up. Look at how much the regular Premier League teams can lose more than Forest, who were trying to build a squad with no squad, 40 million more. which we would have been absolutely fine with, and we wouldn't have got a points deduction if the rules were all the same. Yeah, things aren't all the same in football. It's broken, we know. UEFA's rules are a joke. They either allow multi-club ownership or they don't, but these aren't the rules they set because it's UEFA, and the football governing bodies ain't got a clue how to run the game. But this is how football's gone. It's completely broken. We know it, but we're all addicted, so we all turn up every single week. It isn't Nottingham Forest's fault. Crystal Palace have been kicked out of Europe. Yeah, even I tell you what, right? Let's go with the media, right? Marinakis has sent a letter demanding that Palace get kicked out and Forest get their spot. Do you think UEFA are going to think, all right, then we'll change his minds when we're the governing body, and then they tell everybody what they're going to do anyway? It's just fanciful. He's probably sent in a letter, look, because it matters to Forest as well which competition we're going to be in. Europa League is more because it's 8 guaranteed games rather than 2 guaranteed playoff. You could attract better players. You've got a bigger budget because it's guaranteed revenue in Europa League, because Forest could lose that playoff, whereas you're guaranteed 8 games in Europa League. And it's like as if Forest finished 16th and won the Fair Play Award, and we're seen into game because of that. We finished 7th, which is at the start of the season is a Europa League spot. It's not, Forest haven't earned it. Well, yeah, over a 38-game season, we've earned a Europa League spot. It's just that Palace won, 6 games in the FA Cup? And they've got it over us with a dubious decision in the final, what we can talk about. But look, at the time when Palace won that cup, all of us were gutted because we kind of knew what was coming. It was one spot kind of gone for Europa League, but we were all happy for Palace because it is a great story. Palace are a similar club to us. They're outside that Sky 6. You kind of look at other clubs and apart from your rivals outside and think, well done, lads. Proper fans. They've had a brilliant day. You saw it with the displays they've done. Palace, proper fans. They deserved it. But it's not Nottingham Forest's fault that they've been kicked out of that tournament. UEFA made that decision. But, because, and I said this to my dad yesterday, Marinakis is a disruptor, isn't he? They want you to come into the Premier League. They want you to dot the I's and cross the T's and sit there like Norwich and West Brom and all the others and come up, spend no money, go straight back down, come back up again, spend no money, go straight back down, and then it's a great story until you actually become a bit disrupting the cartel. So, look, it's not Nottingham Forest's fault. I feel for the decent Palace fans because, like I said, they're a great fan base apart from some of the idiots you've had on social media, but you get that with every club. And I guess the caveat for them is at least they're going to get European football because I believe that probably is the first time in their history. And they'll get it either way. And like I said, I'm with Lee. If they win the appeal now, not a problem for me. I've resigned myself to the Conference League. If they don't, then we'll get set for the Europa League. So it's a win-win for us, really, in my opinion, because as a fan, because we've got European football. And to be honest, if someone would have said to me 5 years ago, oh, yeah, you'd be playing in Europe in 5 seasons, I'd have said, yeah, tell me what the number for your drug dealer is. But, just the misinformation you get nowadays from the media and what people buy into and believe it is absolutely mental, but that's the way the world's gone. And on social media now, it's about getting riders out of other fans as we've seen it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with the appeal. But look, I don't know why we're kind of getting the blame, to be honest. I mean, I know it's an easy story for the media, but you ain't made the decision, not us.
Just to touch on this whole step aside thing, we should step aside. Can you imagine
who said that?
Can you imagine a snooker player when it's 16-all? It's 16-all in the World Snooker semi-final, and you fluke the black. Are you just going to turn around and say, "Do you know what? I don't deserve that. I'm going to let you play in the final of the biggest game in this sport."
Yeah,
you hit the net. You play in a Wimbledon semi-final. You hit the net on match point. And it just flops over the other side. Do you know what, mate? You go through. I don't deserve that. I've just had 5 hours on court. I don't deserve that. We've just finished 7th after 38 games, but we'll just step aside. I mean,
who said we should step aside? Roy Jennings.
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah,
yeah, like he'd say that
for about integrity of the sport or something like that.
Yeah, like he'd say that about Chelsea, and this is coming from a Chelsea fan who built their club on dirty Russian money. But moving on.
Yeah,
Christian, thoughts, last thoughts, and then we'll do something a tiny bit fun before we end the pod because we are pushing for time.
Yeah, I mean, it made me laugh what Tory Rory came out with. There's a reason why I find it really annoying that I've got him blocked and muted on Twitter, and yet I still see his painfully terrible footballing views just pop up on my timeline. It's really annoying. By his logic, then, should the whole league have taken 4-point deduction when we got done for having a short of PSR limit and selling a player a couple of weeks after the deadline in solidarity? I didn't see Crystal Palace go on the Premier League door saying, "Oh, we'll take 4 points off as well," or when Everton got docked, whatever it was. I didn't see
10.
Yeah, 10. I didn't see Wolves going on there. Jeff Shee knocking the Premier League door saying, "Oh, yeah, can we have 10 points off, actually?" Yeah, just because Everton have been done 10 and we think that's unfair. Of course not. What absolute nonsense is that, honestly? Whatever reason you say that, clubs look out for their own self-interest first and foremost. The thing that makes me laugh the most, Parish bleating and crying, saying, "Oh, we've had all these emails from UEFA in January, we didn't get any of them." It's because you listed the info out account on your own Premier League handbook, sent it out to all the directors in the league, sent it out to all the organisations, and now you're saying, "Oh yeah, how did this possibly get here?" So how stupid can you possibly be? It's like saying that, "Oh yeah, I didn't make my exam today because my alarm didn't go off." Absolute nonsense. I'm sorry. We were told when we got done 4 points in incredibly harsh circumstances. I maintain that as well. We all know how difficult it is to get promoted to Premier League. We know that full well. 23 years took us to get up. And when we got there, it was a completely different playing field to when we were there before. Our PSR cap was 60-something million. I think 61 million, wasn't it? The rest of the Premier League was 105. So immediately off the bat, you're up against it. We bought a whole new team and we got derided for it. We stayed up anyway. We then realised, okay, by buying a whole new team to compete, we've actually likely breached PSR. We need to sell one of our players. We get lowballed for Brennan Johnson repeatedly. So we go, no, we're not going to get lowballed for him. We're going to sell him at his value and deal what profit and sustainability rules actually says. PSR, no, we'll keep on to him. So we kept on bidding past the deadline. We sell him for 47.5 million, a value we thought was fair, a value Tottenham thought was fair. Judging by the winning goal he scored in the Europa League final, I'm pretty sure we're saying that's very fair right now. Everyone wins. Okay, no, apparently not us because we've breached PSR. Again, we were told rules are rules. I'm sorry, Palace fans, rules are rules. I feel extremely sorry for the fans that go. Like Reece said, they have a fantastic fan base. One of my best mates is a Palace fan. I'm generally gutted for him that he's likely to miss out on something in the first time in his career. He said something similar happened in 91 as well, where he got shafted over going to UEFA Cup then too. So it's a bit unfortunate it's happened twice. But it's not nothing to do with Forest, unfortunately. It's UEFA made the decisions. Palace have breached their rules. John Textor's interview on TalkSPORT says everything you needed to know about that. He literally may as well said there, just chuck us out. Everything he said was complete nonsense. So, saying that, oh yeah, we had no direct influence over the club. I wanted Gazza at Lyon, and then something Palace mysteriously appointed him a week later. Oh, okay then. So you actually had some little influence then, didn't you? It's just a joke. I'm sorry. You cannot be that naive to think that, like Lisa touched upon earlier, Brighton and Bournemouth got ready for that with their MCOs. They knew full well that they were in that possibility. And then Texas coming on TalkSPORT saying that Parish wouldn't let him put his shares in a blind trust. I'm sorry, that's nonsense. They didn't have their ducks in a row. They've been exploited because of it. Is it harsh? Yes, incredibly. But I'm sorry. Like we were told, rules are rules. You cannot put your email info at Crystal Palace, send it out to the rest of the Premier League and UEFA and say we didn't get your things because we thought it might be a spam email. How stupid can you possibly be? For what it's worth, though, I do think we'll lose you, Phil. I think there's a very strong chance of that. But whatever happens. We're in Europe regardless. If it's Europa League, great. If it's not, just get us in the Conference League. We just need to know now so we can move on with our planning.
The email thing makes me crease so much because it's like you're a really well-established Premier League club. You've been in it for over 10 years. How can you get something so simple, so categorically wrong? Even I just don't buy that. It's just a very bad excuse. But just moving swiftly on before
final
before
point, Adam. Sorry, it's as well. It's not been confirmed by UEFA that we even get this spot.
Exactly. It's still
anyway.
Up in the air.
So they might turn around and give it to someone else for all we know. So it just makes no sense. I'm just laughing because people think it's like Varanakis has gone into UEFA. It's like, you best give us that spot.
Why don't they blame Leon? Because they took their spot.
And take an issue with Nottingham Forest. It's not our fault that you've got this wrong. I'm sorry. We did not tell you to put an info at email account on the fucking document and send it out to the rest of the Premier League. I'm sorry. It's nothing to do with Forest.
If we'd won the Fair Play Award and they brought back the Intertoto Cup and we'd got in it, I'd kind of get the point. But we've finished 7th in the league over a 38-game season, which really should take prevalent over a cup win, which is part 6 games. really, the cup winners, in my opinion, should be for the Conference League, like a Cup Winners' Cup. I think it was Lee who said that yesterday. Both cup winners go in there, because the league is, to finish higher in the league is harder than winning the cup. It is the truth, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, of course, because you only got to win X amount of games.
Got 38 games to play.
Yeah. There's 981 people in here across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you can drop us a like and hit subscribe, it goes an extremely long way. Just to finish off, guys, we're going to do something a little bit fun and just to infuriate more Crystal Palace fans. This is the Europa League projected pots. I would like from each of you a very quick answer of, we said this in our group yesterday, I thought it was quite fun, a team from each pot that you would like to go for an away trip for. Obviously excluding Aston Villa in that, because that's just, what's the point? So Lee Clark, start off with yourself, a team from each pot of where you would like to visit, please, for the Europa League.
Just one from each pot.
Yes, please.
Do you know, my pot one is going to be unpopular. I've always wanted to go to Ibrox. I think that'd be a really easy one to do. So I'm going Rangers. Second one, we need a winnable game in there somewhere, don't we?
Winnable game. Don't say that. Elliot will be on you.
Oh, yeah, true. Let's go the Greek one. PAOK.
Just for chaos. Right, good one.
Yeah.
No, that's Panathinaikos in Group 4. That's what we don't want.
Third part, we'll go for Anderlecht. There's beef there, isn't there, I suppose, from yesteryear. Yeah. That would be quite a one for the media. Pot 4, Bologna, Remo Freuler.
Yeah, a Remo Freuler reunion.
For that reason only.
Where you driving your van? Or not driving your van?
We're in Europe, mate. Jesus, unless it's Iceland. I've got to be decisive, or Danny will have a go at me, won't he? So pot 1 would be Porto. Pot 2, Slovan Bratislava. Nice. Pot 3, Freiburg. And pot 4, probably Celta Vigo. I would pick Bologna, but I wouldn't. Same with Roma, because Italy's my favourite place, so I'd pick them too, but I've been to both. Same with Rangers. Ibrox, it would be amazing to play Rangers away in the Europa League, but I've kind of been, so I don't really want to pick that.
Christian?
I'm sort of reluctant to do this until anything's being confirmed, because this is all effectively hearsay.
A bit of fun, though. Bit of fun.
That is a bit of fun. I also agree with Lee. I think Rangers would be a good one. Sorry, Reece. It's not my fault you've round up to European night and we haven't. That's your own choice to make.
In Europa League as well, ironically.
Yeah, and obviously with them having Russell Martin as well. I mean, you just go. Also, I wouldn't have to take annual leave off. Just get on the train, work on the train. It'd be a dream.
Until Kieran Dowell scores past us.
Yeah, until that happens. Yeah. In terms of pot 2,
or Tom Lawrence.
Oh, Jesus, don't. Yeah, that would be really bad. Pot 2, I probably would go. I think just because of how amusing it would be, Lyon away would be very funny. Great stadium as well, to be fair. Pot 3, Anderlecht, some beef there. We'll have them back for that. Pot 4, Panathinaikos, just because of the pure chaos it would be. Imagine Marinakis going to
Panathinaikos. Give a bullet vest or
I don't think we probably wouldn't be able to go. We'd probably just blacklist fans from going to that.
Can I just say as well, I know these are projections, but I'm fingers crossed that Celtic lose their qualification game and drop into that pot 1 and we draw them away. I'll be happy with that.
Oh, go ahead, Eagles away. Actually, be quite nice in pot 4. That'd be quite. Yeah. Well, is that playing Crystal Palace? I don't know. Is that no? They submit the right email address. Who knows?
So for myself, I'd go Zagreb. I've been there just to visit. Lovely city. I want to play Young Boys because they've got a really funny name. They've got a stadium name of Wankdorf Stadium. I mean, why would you not want to go to see? Why would you not go to the Wankdorf on a Thursday night? Do you know what I mean? Lego Warszawa, because obviously I've got some Polish heritage. So I mean, Pidog on a Thursday night would be great. And then I think Paphos would be nice. Is it Cyprus or Greece? I mean, that'd be light. That'd be all right. That would be nice. Yeah. So, no, a bit of fun for that one, just to finish off the pod. So, yeah, really enjoyed it this morning, guys. Really good debate. Really good back and forth. I mean, Christian, I still love you, mate. Don't worry. There's no hate. 1,000 people in here at the moment, which is amazing. So, yeah, drop us a like, subscribe for more. We'll see you next time. Hopefully with maybe a slightly less crazy week coming for Nottingham Forest, but that's probably very unlikely. But until next time, come on, you Reds.